Hello vlog. Today we're back and we're cooking again, and today I am going to make some turkey meatballs in a cream of mushroom sauce. So let's get the meal together. Today I'm going to be cooking with ground turkey and mushroom gravy. So let's go ahead and get through the entire process. I've been enjoying ground turkey a little too much lately, so that's what inspired me to create this meal. So now I'm going to go ahead, take it out the pack, and go ahead and season, starting off with paprika, then going into garlic powder and being very generous with that, using what I have left of my onion powder because it's literally pretty close to empty. Then I'm going to go ahead and use some complete seasoning, and then I really had to get in there and tap it really good because why was it not coming out? And then of course black pepper and then salt to taste. I like putting it in my hand simply because I think it's a better measure than just randomly throwing salt in there. Then of course I put on some gloves and make sure to mix everything as thoroughly as I can. And then I think just as a bit more of a binding agent, I decided to add the mustard, of course, for some flavor as well as just to help it bind, and then mix everything up until it looks like the egg has pretty much disappeared. And then of course I go ahead into rolling up these meatballs together, and don't come for the shape. I know it looks crazy, but you will realize that the 13 I made ended up multiplying. So let's start there. And then of course I'm going to be generous, putting everything in the pan. And opposed to using butter, I'm using actual cooking oil this time. So I preemptively turned it because I was trying to see if it was thoroughly cooked on one side because I saw that film. But then I realized the open concept probably was not a great idea, so I decided to cover it with some foil paper and a lid because, as you can see, this frying pan does not come with a lid, so I had to improvise. And so here I am checking it again because that is actually the color that I want to get. So a bit of steam, a bit of oil, and we're good to go. So now I'm going to go ahead, cover it, and move on because at this point it was finished cooking. And then I'm going to go ahead and try to make this mushroom gravy paste, but it really wasn't giving what I wanted it to give. So yes, I went in with the burnt bits and tried to make my own sauce. This is not the sauce I was initially going for. So I had to go back to the drawing board and improvise, but as you can see, I made the best of it because one thing about me, I'm going to throw some seasonings into whatever and just try to go for a blend that works for me. Because based on my goals for the kitchen, I believe that the only way to really master something is to turn a fail into a win. So I'm going to go ahead, add the meatballs to the sauce, mix it up, that way everything blends really nicely. It did smell pretty great, but it just was not what I was going for. Now we're going to step right into the veggies because since I've been doing low carb, I've really been enjoying the taste of sweet peppers. So I'm just going to go ahead and cut them up because I realize I don't like them super fine. I don't really like them in the noodle kind of look. I really like them when they're just opened up and roasted. Adds a bit more to what I'm eating in the sense of it's more filling to me as opposed to chopping it up finely. I really prefer this because if I wanted to make this like a boat, I definitely could. So I just kind of leave them open, throw a little oil and seasonings on them, and then that's it. And I love pairing them with zucchini. So I only found green ones, so that's all I'm going to be able to use for now. And then I didn't even use too many. I basically used 2 pieces of zucchini and then I cut them into roughly 8 pieces. So that's what we're working with for these veggies. And then I'm gonna some olive oil all over it, just get it nicely coated for when it's in the oven. And then I'm going to go ahead and use these 3 seasonings, keeping it very simple essentially, because I know that the flavors from them naturally are going to shine through and I don't want to overpower them because sweet peppers by themselves really give more than I gave them credit for in the beginning. Like when I first had a roasted vegetable, specifically a sweet pepper, it literally changed my life. So now I'm going to go ahead and get everything mixed up together very nicely. And then I'm going to go ahead and oil my baking sheet. I like to coat my baking sheet with wax paper just to avoid it getting super messy or really burnt up from the oil in case I happen to leave anything in there for too long. And it's honestly just a lot easier for me to clean. So now I'm going to put it in the oven and leave it there for about 20 minutes. Now it's time to go back to the drawing board with this sauce. So I'm starting off with butter and some onions, and then I will go in and add just a few pieces of garlic because I want this basically to simmer down and get fragrant. And then I'm going to use some chicken broth because I think that's a good way to make it stretch while still adding some sort of flavor. And then using the scraps that I had left over, I cut up some sweet peppers, and I'm going to go in with the cream of mushroom soup. It's technically not a sauce, it's a soup. So I'm going to go ahead and mix that into the veggies that I just placed into the pan, as well as the chicken broth. And I'm going to really do my best to break it down because it is very chunky, so it does take a while. Then I used some laughing cup because I found that it could have been slightly more creamy. And then I'm eventually going to mix that in as well, first starting by smushing it. That way it's not chunky in the sauce. And then eventually it just kind of melts into it very flawlessly. So it is looking chunky, but by the end of it all, it turns out to be very smooth. So it was worth all of the smushing and mixing. And then this is kind of the consistency that I'm going for. The only chunks I want to see are specifically from the mushroom bits, from the onions, from the garlic, and from the pepper. Outside of that, I want the sauce itself to be very smooth. And of course, you got to do a little taste test to know if your pot is good. After I put them into the pot, I go ahead and I mix everything for a few minutes, making sure that it's evenly coated because it already has a mushroom sauce, but I want it to basically have the taste of that. And then I'm going to go ahead, add some extra stuff. So first I'm starting off with some spinach because I feel like you can never have too many things. Add my sweet peppers. Again, I actually cut up some more pieces of this because I was like, you know what, this is missing a little bit of color. And then I'm using a spatula just to mix everything in. Now that everything is finished, I'm going to go ahead and serve myself. So as you can see, I definitely got the consistency I was looking for. Only chunks are from the added bits, not from the actual soup. And I'm very generous when I'm serving myself. So I gave myself 2 scoops of my creamy mushroom turkey meatballs. And then I ever so generously shared myself some veggies. So of course in the first round I got an even amount of zucchini and pepper, and now I'm just grabbing the rest. And of course I have to think about myself for the rest of the days. I was able to make it into 3 additional servings so that I could have some lunch, and then I'm going to also go ahead and share the veggies as evenly as I can. I honestly think that this not only came out well, but it tastes amazing. Look at it. Look at the material. Yes, we really did our thing in the kitchen today. I will be having this during lunchtime with an actual salad on the side, so don't think that I'm depriving myself of food. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today's video. I'll see you next time.